Egyptian mythology, the genesis of creation, the birth of gods, and the making of the universe. The journey for the Egyptians began with the birth of the world and the universe from darkness and chaos. Once, there was nothing but shapeless and meaningless infinite dark waters. Within this void awaited Heka, the god of magic, waiting for the moment of creation. From this watery silence new rose the primitive mound known as the Ben, upon which the great god Adam, or in some versions of the myth, Ptah stood. Adam looked into the void and realized his solitude. Thus through magic, he mated with his own shadow and bore two children, Shu the air god, born from Adam's spit, and Tefnut the moisture goddess, born from Adam's vomit. While Shu bestowed the principles of life upon the primordial world, Tefnut contributed to the principles of order. Setting out to create the world, they left their father at the Ben. Over time, Adam grew worried about his children's prolonged absence and sent out his eye to find them. Without his eye, Adam sat alone atop the mound amidst chaos, pondering eternity. Shu and Tefnut returned with Adam's eye, later associated with the Ujjat eye, the eye of Ra, or the all-seeing eye, and their grateful father shed tears of joy for their safe return. These tears, falling onto the dark and fertile soil of the Ben, gave birth to men and women. Shu and Tefnut coupled to give birth to Jeb the earth and Nut the sky, because the ancient beings had no place to dwell. Despite being siblings, Jeb and Nut were deeply in love and inseparable. Adam found their behavior unacceptable and pushed Nut away from Jeb into the sky. Although the two lovers could forever see each other, they could no longer touch. However, Nut was pregnant by Jeb and eventually gave birth to Osiris, Isis, Set, Nephthys, and Horus, considered among the oldest or most familiar representations of Egyptian god figures. Osiris demonstrated thoughtfulness and prudence, leading Adam to grant him the governance of the world before tending to his own affairs. Osiris and Set. Osiris and his sister Isis effectively governed the world, determining the best locations for trees to grow and the sweetest flow of water. Osiris perfectly shaped the Egyptian lands where the Nile River fulfilled the needs of the people. He acted in accordance with the principle of Ma'at, harmony in everything, maintaining a harmonious balance and honoring his father and siblings. However, his brother Set began to envy his nature and the power and splendor of Osiris. Set secretly took Osiris's exact measurements and then ordered a detailed chest to be made to fit those measurements precisely. When the chest was completed, Set hosted a grand feast, inviting Osiris and 72 others. At the end of the party, Set presented the great chest as a gift to whoever could fit in it best. Of course, Osiris fit perfectly into the chest, and once he entered, Set tightly closed the lid and cast it into the Nile River. He then announced to everyone that Osiris had died and that he had taken over the governance of the world. Isis refused to believe her husband was dead and set out to find him. Eventually, she found the chest in Byblos at the base of a tree. The people of the land were pleased to help her retrieve the chest, and for their assistance, Isis blessed them later. It's believed that this detail was added by a scribe to honor the city, which became Egypt's principal exporter of papyrus, a significant material in the writer's profession. Isis brought Osiris's body back to Egypt and began gathering the herbs and making the elixirs needed to restore him to life. She left her sister Nephthys behind to guard the place where the body was hidden. Set, being very skilled and knowledgeable in these matters, began to worry that Isis might find a way to revive Osiris once she discovered his body. When he realized she was gone, he asked Nephthys where she was, and when the goddess answered, he understood she was lying. He had learned from her where Osiris's body was hidden, and upon going there, he opened the chest and divided the body into 42 pieces, though some sources claim it was only 14 pieces. He then scattered Osiris's pieces all over the land of Egypt, ensuring that Isis would never find them, before returning to his palace to resume his rule. When Isis returned and found the chest destroyed and Osiris's body gone, she sank to her knees in despair and wept. Feeling guilty for betraying her secret, Nephthys confessed to Isis and offered to help her find Osiris's pieces. The two sisters then set out to search for Osiris's fragments. Wherever they found a piece of his body, they buried it and built a temple to protect it from Set. In this way, the 42 provinces of Egypt were established by the two goddesses. Eventually, they had assembled all of Osiris's body except for his penis, which had been eaten by a fish. Isis then created a substitute organ in place of the penis and became pregnant with her husband, bearing their son Horus. Osiris had been somehow brought back to life by Isis, but feeling incomplete, he could no longer rule the world as he once did. Instead, he descended into the underworld to become its fair judge and ruler. Horus, sometimes referred to as young Horus to distinguish him from Osiris's brother Horus, was secretly raised to protect him from Set, and when he reached manhood, he challenged his uncle to take over his father's former kingdom. The war between Horus and Set lasted 80 years until Horus defeated Set and banished him from Egypt to live in the barren deserts. There are many variants of this story, with some where Horus and Set agree to share the kingdom, while in others Set is destroyed. Horus then ruled with his mother Isis and his aunt Nephthys by his side, restoring order to the country. It was believed that everything in the universe existed in a perpetual balance without end, and humanity, being a part of this universe, was included in this ultimate equilibrium. Ma'at, the fundamental force that existed before creation and made all aspects of life possible, was enabled by Heka. Heka was a magical force embodied in the god Heka, which ensured the fulfillment of the duties of the gods and sustained all life, including facilitating the transition of the soul from earthly life to the afterlife. When the soul departed the body with death, it was believed to appear in the Hall of Truth to stand before Osiris for judgment. The deceased's heart was weighed against the white feather of Ma'at on a golden scale. If the heart was found lighter than the feather, the soul was permitted to proceed to the field of reeds for purification and eternal happiness. However, if the heart was heavier than the feather, it was left to be devoured by the monster Ammit, and the existence of the soul would cease.